Hello and welcome to the Malika Writes channel. My name is Malika Writes, and today I'm going to be giving a review of Dune. Dune was absolutely beautiful. Visually, it's stunning. The sheer size of the ships impress upon you the military might of the different houses. It's a film that deserves to be viewed on the big screen. I don't think I've ever seen sand so beautiful. I actually would compare the attention to detail to Mura's Berserk. The different competing factions are so well done as well. I loved the secretive Bene Gesserit, who exercise power from the shadows, and which is really how women exercise power, working within an established system. As masked figures who operate with magic, they govern the subconscious realm, which is the domain of the feminine, and I love that they're powerful, but in a really uniquely feminine way. The story doesn't shy away from that, and it doesn't attempt to make them warriors who are preoccupied with besting all men, as we've seen in like other movies. They're much more credible and downright terrifying. I wanted to see a lot more of them. I want to, not necessarily in this movie, but I want to see a lot more of them later on. And I suppose I'm going to have to read the books in order to see a lot more of them as well. Honestly, I can't wait for the second movie to come out. I really liked Leto. He was a character I think everyone can respect. He doesn't look at a situation and give up or blame other people. He looks for solutions, and he's a really good father, which is rare for movies these days. It's actually been a while since we've had a good father in a movie, so I was actually quite happy about that. Jason Momoa was attractive as usual, not the most dynamic of actors, but the fight scenes were impressive, and I liked Duncan's brotherly relationship with Paul. Overall, this movie had some really great male characters, and I was actually quite surprised. So when it comes to stuff like graphics, I don't know too much, so instead I'm going to talk about the theme of death as rebirth in Dune. So throughout mythology and human history, to be honest, we've viewed death as a means of rebirth. Across cultures, the idea that death is not the end is one that persists, and this idea occurs in more instances than just physical death. For example, in Beowulf, the similarity between battles and sex is made obvious through the battle between Grendel's mother and Beowulf, the emphasis on grabbing, thrusting, piercing, that sort of thing. In Greek mythology, the relationship between Aphrodite, the goddess of love, and Ares, the god of war, drives home the point that love and war are closely related. Ancient marriage rituals as well they closely resemble funeral rites. The wedding knight kills the maiden and produces a woman. The man must give up his days chasing the horizon, so to speak, and patrol the borders of the nest, which is the death of the hero and the birth of the king. So this pattern can also be seen in Dune. Just in case you ignored the warning at the beginning, this is a spoiler. So Paul is plagued by dreams, and they're dreams of his death at the hands of one of the freemen, but he ends up killing that freeman warrior instead. So I would like to propose that Paul's death still occurs, but in a more symbolic sense. His mother reveals that he's never killed a man before, and after Paul kills the warrior, he becomes visibly distressed. The death of his former self has then taken place. He now has blood on his hands, which is much more costly than we imagine. We tend to think that there is no cost outside of imprisonment to taking a life, but nothing could be further from the truth. Prior to the fight, Paul is terrified by the prospect of becoming the Messiah, which would lead to a holy war in his name and shed more blood. He then has to take a life himself, and it kills a part of him so that someone new can be born. I also really liked how Zendaya's character serves as the divine feminine figure. She beckons Paul towards his destiny, and the film separates the girl in his visions from the girl in real life. In Paul's visions, her hair flows free, her clothing is linen, and her feet are bare. Her hand is stained with his blood. She represents potential and his destiny, so to speak, and he must seek her out. But when he meets her, she's one of the Freemen. She's in a battle suit. Her hair is tied back and concealed under a shroud. The real physical girl is not the divine feminine, which is a distinction men have to make when they encounter real women. Robert Bly makes this point in Iron John. The real blue-eyed girl will serve as a love interest and fellow rebel, but she isn't the divine feminine, nor is she aware that she'll play such a big role in his future. So Paul has to make that distinction, and I'm curious to see how their relationship unfolds in the next film. So that's my review of this movie. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It held everything I've sort of been asking for. I remember while I was watching the movie, I just thought to myself, if the Lord of the Rings Amazon series could just come this close, I would have no complaints. It can have all the diversity at once, but if it could just come this close, I wouldn't be upset. I think the fact that a Dune remake of this quality could come out in 2021 and have the level of good storytelling and everything that it has at this point in our climate, it gives me hope that some way, somehow, there is a slither of hope that we will get an Amazon Lord of the Rings series that might be good. The evidence is stacked against it, but while I was watching this movie, that was the thought that came to my head, that if it could just be like this, we would have a chance of enjoying it. So here's to hoping. Let me end this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'm really looking forward to the next movie. Sorry, it was very refreshing to watch it. So I hope you have a lovely day. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave me a comment, and yeah, have a lovely day. This has been the Malika Writes channel.